Hey guys, Promo1001 here, and today we're going to talk about First Doctor animation stories. Now, Hartnell had, I believe, 29 stories. 12 of them are partly or completely missing due to missing episodes. 12 of them were affected. Now, 2 of them we've already gotten completed with animation, Reign of Terror and The 10th Planet. So that leaves 10, so that seems like a great way to do a top 10 list. Kind of ranking how I would like to see the animations come out, kind of the order I want the animations in, being realistic about them to some degree and not to some degree, just kind of the order that I really want these stories to be animated and how much I'd like to see them. In 10th place is Mission to the Unknown, because I've seen the recreation. I'm constantly saying I've seen 7 of Hartnell's stories. I keep forgetting about this one. Including Mission to the Unknown, I guess I've technically seen 8, because I have seen the remake that the college students did a couple years ago of it, and I liked it. It was fine. Because that exists, I feel like this one doesn't need to be animated. I know some people would want it animated just so it would match Master Plan if they ever eventually animate Master Plan. They'd want this one to go with it in animated form. And I guess I'd be fine with that, but again, since we already have the recreation of it, excuse me, I don't really think it's necessary, so it's way down at the bottom of the list, because I'm fine with the recreation, to be honest. Number 9 is Myth Makers. I just don't really know anything about this one. A lot of these that I haven't seen of Hartnell's, I know their reputation of, or I at least hear people talk about. I never really hear anybody talk about Myth Makers. I can't tell you anything about Myth Makers. I don't know anything about it. Nobody ever talks about it. So because of that, it's down here at the bottom. Number 8 is The Savages. Kind of the same reason. I never really hear anybody talk about The Savages. Don't really know what it's about. Not one I hear come up in conversation a lot. So further down on the list, number 7 is The Massacre, or Massacre of St. Bartholomew's Eve. I believe this is the one where Hartnell's playing 2 roles. He's playing the First Doctor and the guy who looks like the First Doctor. Again, don't really know much about this one. Do know it seems to be held in pretty high regard. I know there's like no existing footage of it whatsoever. It's one of those rare few where no footage exists of it. So I guess I'd be fine with them animating that, although I guess it'd be kind of hard to animate since they have no idea what to do with it. But I guess in that case, that unties their hands to do what they want with it, I guess. But I know it's one people seem to hold in pretty high regard. Next on the list is The Celestial Toy Maker. Now, this one's cheating a little because I have read the Target novelization for this, but I read the Target novelization like in the early to mid 90s, and it's very hazy in my head because my uncle was a huge Doctor Who fan as well, probably where I picked it up from. And he had about 4 or 5 of the Target novelizations, because I remember he also had Day of the Daleks, which I read and liked, and he also had The Sunmakers, which could be one of the reasons why I'm so fond of The Sunmakers, is I remember reading it when I was little. And I remember he had this one as well, to The Celestial Toy Maker, and I remember liking the story when I read it. So I would like to see, but again, it's very hazy in my mind. I would like to see like an actual animated version of it. I know episode 4 it still exists. Although personally, if they animate all 4 episodes, which I'm sure they would, I don't want them to stick to the script or to stick with episode 4. I'd rather them do their own thing with it. It's such a kind of fantasy-based story that I think they should ignore the limitations of the classic era budget and just kind of do their own thing with it, kind of like Macroterra. Because there's so much you could do with those games that the Celestial Toy Maker had them playing. Make them bigger, make them better, make them larger than life. I'd much rather them take a Macroterra approach with that story. And plus it's got Michael Gough in it. I love me some Michael Gough. Batman 1989 is not only my favorite Batman movie of all time, it's my favorite superhero movie of all time. I love that movie. And Michael Gough is my favorite Alfred, so I have a soft spot for Michael Gough. Next on the list at number 5 is Marco Polo. I really liked, I believe it was Josh Snare's reconstruction he did of episode 1. Really did get me invested in the story. That was a really good reconstruction he did. And I really enjoyed it. So, and just the story, hearing everybody talk about the story, seeing the kind of seeing the behind the scene photographs of the story, it just looks like it was really, really good, and I'd really love to get it. Plus, it would complete season 1, which would be really nice. Yeah, as problematic as it would be to do, I would really like to see it done. Number 4 is Galaxy 4, which of course is the one we are rumored to be getting. I've always wanted to see Galaxy 4. I know it doesn't seem to have the best reputation, and I know the audio quality is not supposed to be the best, but I've always wanted to see Galaxy 4. It is one of the ones I figured we'd get animated sooner, since it does have a limited cast, and all the blondes are supposed to be clones to each other so they can reuse assets. The creatures are all supposed to look alike. You can reuse assets. It doesn't seem to have a large cast. It seems like one that would be easy to animate. It's only a 4-parter. So I figured we'd get it early, and I do think that probably is true, what the Mirror leaked, and it probably is coming. I've always wanted to see it. I know the little twist in the story about who's the good person, who's the bad person. It's a bit tropey these days. Personally, if you stick me in a room with a bunch of really hot, attractive blondes, I'm going to be suspicious too. Literally, my number 1 rule of dating is no blondes. I find blondes a lot harder to date. I know that's a very biased thing to say, but I'm just in my lifetime with my dating, it's never ended well when I've dated a blonde. So I'm extremely mistrustful of a room full of attractive blondes. So trust me, I would walk right over to the aliens and be like, let's keep an eye on the blondes over there. Honest and truly. Number 3 is Daleks Master Plan. I think this is kind of a lot of people's number 1. This is kind of the holy grail of either stories to be recovered or stories to be animated. Of course, they would animate the whole thing, 12 episodes, even though 3 of the episodes exist. That's such an undertaking. Who knows when we would get that, if we would get that. Just the massive undertaking involved. It's one of the reasons it's not higher. I don't think it's coming anytime within the next couple of years. I know a lot of people kind of got their fingers crossed for 2023. I don't really think that's going to happen. Maybe afterwards when they've got some more Hartnell stuff done. But I would like to see it. I've never seen Master Plan. I've never heard Master Plan or seen Master Plan. I would like to. I hear it's really good. I know the Meddling Monk comes back in it. So I would actually do want to experience that story, and I do hope it gets animated. I think we have a long wait before that happens. Number 2 is the Smugglers. One of the reasons this one is so high is because it is part of Season 4, and I really want Season 4 to get completed so we can get that box set out, so that's actually the main reason it's this high. And just from what little bit I've read, because I have actually looked up the Smugglers, it seems like an interesting story. Maybe not a great story, but an interesting story. Enough to where I am definitely interested in seeing it. But mostly it's on here because it is part of Season 4, or that's why it's so high. And I really want Season 4, the box set, to come out. I'm a huge Troughton fan. That's mostly his season. And that's one of the few stories from Season 4 we still need to get. That, Highlanders, Underwater Menace, once we get Evil. That's the main reason it's this high. And number 1 on the list is the Crusade. 1, because I do want to see the Crusade very much. I love medieval stuff, King Arthur stuff, Crusade stuff. I love all that kind of stuff. So that's probably going to be right up my alley. It's also the only story we need to get Season 2 completed. I know Crusade is not coming anytime soon. I know the difficulties in doing it, even though it's only 2 episodes. I know it's the only 2 episodes of Season 2 missing. But with the sheer number of cast and the location stuff and the costume changes, I know we're not getting it anytime soon. I just really want it. Plus, again, it would complete Season 2, and we could get Season 2 on out.